minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank my good friend Chairman Gibbs for his effort in putting this common sense legislation forward. Now, Madam Speaker, we all come here to this House floor and we work together in a bipartisan way to address many important issues that affect Americans. Many of my colleagues on the other side of the floor today, we've worked closely together to help our veterans, to help rebuild our roads and our infrastructure. And I do believe we can work together to stop the spread of the Zika virus. And this is a common sense piece of legislation that isn't asking to get rid of EPA rules and regulations. It's asking to simply suspend them during this crisis period. And I want to tell you why. My colleague, Mr. Gibbs, mentioned earlier that this is the result of a court case that in 2006, it actually created a duplicative and costly regulatory process that many of our small communities and small businesses are still trying to fight when they're dealing with spraying for mosquitoes. Now, mosquito abatement has changed a lot since I was younger. I can remember my parents and my friends' parents sending us out to ride our bikes behind the fogger. Wouldn't do that anymore now, would we, Madam Speaker? Because we now see more rules, regulations, FIFRA, the policies that have been enacted by the EPA have shown that maybe that's not the smart thing to do. We have processes in place, the very same agency that tells us what is safe and what is not when looking at spraying for mosquitoes that may or may not carry diseases like West Nile and Zika, and how to safely use them. That the same agency has put together a process for Illinois, a 35-page document showing us how to get a permit to spray for mosquitoes. If you're a small business, if you're a small community, and these 35 pages, this regulatory requirement, we're asking to suspend so we can deal with the Zika virus now that we know is mosquito-borne. This 35-page permit has 6 entire pages dedicated to definitions and acronyms. Section 7, the record-keeping portion alone, includes 3 separate levels of record-keeping depending on the size of the annual treatment area, and it doesn't end there, as some permittees are also subject to annual reporting requirements as well. Madam Speaker, the farmers in my district are spending too much time to try and abate this disease on their own to help so many in our communities. And I'm afraid they may say, enough. Let's figure out how someone else is going to do it. That doesn't help us solve the problem of eradicating the Zika virus, and that is the reason why this bill that will suspend this process is so necessary right now. I would urge my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to take a look at this common sense approach and do what Mr. Gibbs is doing. Let's work together. Let's ensure that we can stop a permit process like this to deal with something so important to so many families. And unfortunately, the longer we talk in this institution, Madam Speaker, the less is done to stop the spread of the Zika virus in this country, in our states, and in our districts. Madam Speaker, thank you for the time. Chairman Gibbs, thank you for this common sense piece of legislation, and I yield back the balance of my time.